Thanksgiving morning always carried a hint of chaos in Ruby's family, but this year felt different. She had always been overlooked, and this was her opportunity. Ruby wanted more than a clean house. She wanted her mother to finally see her as a responsible, not that scattered-brained youngest who always left things half done. With only a few hours left, she resorted to creative shortcuts. At the front door, boots and shoes sprawled like a miniature tornado. Ruby scooped them up, staggered to the closet, and yanked it open, only for a broom to tumble out and smack her forehead. She shoved the broom back inside, tossed the shoes after it, and slammed the door shut, ignoring the muffled thuds from within. Next came the coffee table, cluttered with mail and magazines. She stuffed the mail into her father's office drawer, forcing it closed against the bulge in papers, then hid the magazines behind the television. Out of sight, out of mind, she told herself. She swept the wooden floor into a neat pile, realized she had no dustpan, and grinned at her solution. Shove it all under the couch. A cinnamon air freshener from under the sink became her final weapon, filling the house with a festive, slightly overwhelming scent. Ruby stepped back, proud of the illusion of order. For once, maybe her mother would be impressed. The front door creaked open. Evelyn, her older sister, stepped inside, rolling a perfectly coordinated pink suitcase behind her. The wheels hummed softly across the floor as she paused in the entryway, eyes scanning the cinnamon-scented air in the suspiciously tidy living room. Her silence said everything. A moment later, Asher stomped in, kicking off his boots, one striking the closet door just right to pop it open. The broom and shoes spilled back into the floor in a noisy avalanche. Ruby froze. Evelyn's raised eyebrows screamed disapproval, her expression sharp, as if to say, "This is your idea of clean?" Asher sniffed the air, smirked, and looked amused at her efforts. Without a word, they headed upstairs, leaving Ruby to face the mess again. She sighed, already bracing herself. If she didn't fix it, her mother would surely blame her later. As Ruby tucked the last stray shoe into the closet, the phone rang. Sharp, urgent, cutting straight through the fragile calm she had worked to create. She grabbed it, still catching her breath from her cleaning sprint. Her mother's voice spilled through the line, fast and tired. Ruby listened, nodded at first, then freezing. Her expression shifted as the weight of the message hit her. The turkey was already in the oven, but everything else, every appetizer, every side, every pie, every table setting, would be up to the three of them. Their mother wouldn't be home until late. Before Ruby could respond, the call ended. She stared at the phone, stunned. The house suddenly felt much bigger, the holiday much heavier. She had never cooked Thanksgiving before. None of them had. For a moment, she wondered if this was a mistake or a test. Footsteps thudded softly down the stairs. Evelyn walked into the kitchen, rolling up her sleeves as she reached for a drink from the fridge. She took a long sip, savoring the moment, only to stop mid-gulp when she noticed Ruby's face. Ruby's tense posture, the stillness, the phone hanging limp in her hand. It told the whole story. Evelyn's eyes widened, her shoulders tightened. Ruby watched her mentally shift through the now bleak to-do list. Casseroles, rolls, pies, timing, cleanup, all of it. Then came heavier steps on the stairs. Asher appeared, humming casually, oblivious to the shift in the atmosphere. He paused when he saw both sisters staring at him like they'd just walked into a disaster movie. He looked back and forth between them, confused, his carefree expression slowly dropping under the weight of their silence. Ruby didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her face alone asked the question she dreaded to know the answer to. How much chaos was this about to become? About an hour and a half later, the front door swung open again, this time with grocery bags instead of suitcases. Ruby pushed her way inside, first arms stacked high and wobbling dangerously, determined to prove she could handle the load. Evelyn followed, carrying her bags with precision and quiet determination, every step measured. Asher trailed behind them, holding a single bag of marshmallows like it was a heroic contribution to the holiday effort. The kitchen transformed instantly into a battlefield of ingredients and half-formed plans, lining items into the neat rows across the counter, already calculating what needed to be cooked first. Ruby tried to mimic her order, but her pile collapsed, sending a bag of frozen peas tumbling off the edge. It burst on impact, peas scattering across the floor like tiny green marbles. Ruby dove after them, slipping once, twice, and then once more for good measure. As she scrambled beneath the table, a gust from the open door carried a lone leaf inside. Ruby spotted it, instantly abandoning the peas to chase the intruder. In her pursuit, she bumped a small pumpkin centerpiece, sending it teetering. It wobbled dramatically, then settled. Safe. Ruby exhaled in triumph, just in time for Asher to brush past the table and knock it over anyway. Asher, blissfully unaware, helped by tossing ingredients toward the counter with optimistic accuracy and inconsistent results. At one point, he opened a container simply to sniff it, nodding proudly, and handed it to Evelyn like he'd solve a mystery. She did not share his confidence. Evelyn pressed her palms to her temples, quietly recalculating life choices. Ruby skidded across the tile, chasing a pea that had tried to escape. Asher grinned in the general chaos, as if convinced everything was going perfectly. And honestly, somehow, that made it all worse. Holiday prep had begun, and the house once again was holding on for dear life. The kitchen buzzed with energy as the siblings finally began their actual cooking. Flour puffed into the air with careless scoops, settling like snow across the counter, Ruby's hands, and even Asher's hair. He grinned as the white dust, convinced it made him look like a professional chef, before tipping a container and sending more powder sliding toward the floor. Ruby, already juggling, chopping, and stirring, accidentally nudged the blender while testing a spice. The lid popped, spraying ingredients across the counter and onto Asher, who was laughing uncontrollably, slipping on the wet surface as he attempted a heroic save. Evelyn moved like a calm anchor, catching the blender before it could escape entirely, though the tightness in her jaw betrayed the strain of keeping control. Turkey was safe in the oven, but the counters told another story. A pan shifted too close to the edge, wobbling in slow motion as if daring someone to interfere. Asher lunged dramatically, arms outstretched, just barely steadying it while grinning like he had performed a magic trick. Spills, splatters, and scattered utensils became a choreography of near misses. Ruby ducked the flying measuring cup, laughed at it, clattered harmlessly to the floor, and tossed tea towels at Asher to help him clean up. He caught it with a comic pride, striking a pose as though he would save the day. Evelyn sighed, but her steady gaze softened as she watched their siblings scramble together. Despite the miniature catastrophes piling up around them, laughter punctured every disaster. The chaos was rising, but it was still playful, still manageable. Just as the siblings began to find rhythm among the chaos, Ruby balancing a precarious stack of mixing bowls, Evelyn orchestrating the counters with the precision of an air traffic controller, and Asher beaming proudly from his own mess. The phone rang. Ruby darted to answer it, nearly colliding with a rolling can of beans. On the other end, her father's voice explained that his flight from Atlanta had been delayed by a snowstorm. The words sank in slowly, settling across the kitchen like a heavy drift. No parents, no backup, no reprieve. Outside, the first flurries tumbled past the windows, quickly thickening into a white wall that swallowed roads and mailboxes alike. Cars stalled, plows crawled, and the world beyond the kitchen had suddenly become unpredictable as the scene inside it. The siblings froze for a moment, each absorbing the news in their own way. Then, almost in unison, the chaos resumed. Laughter, spilled flour, toppling pan, but now with a shrapnel edge. Every misstep carried slightly more weight. Every near miss hinted at consequences beyond their own kitchen. The snowstorm outside mirrored the storm inside. Thanksgiving was now entirely in their hands.